time, if you can please silence your cell phones or electronic devices, that would be greatly appreciated. Your greeters tonight is Human Resources Manager Samantha Potts and Police Captain D.W. Smith. I'm going to do some other introductions, starting from my far right and your far left, with Recording Secretary Taylor Lockhart, City Clerk Susan Dodderis, Deputy Mayor Zone 1 Commissioner Lori Tollin.
Good evening and welcome, everyone.
Zone 2 Commissioner Travis Sargent.
Good evening, welcome.
Zone 3 Commissioner Kristen Deaton.
Good evening, welcome.
Zone 4 Commissioner is absent tonight. City Manager Joyce Shanahan. Assistant City Managers Claire Whitley and Sean Finley sitting in the front row there. City Attorney Randy Hayes. Police Chief Jesse Godfrey over in my far left, your far right. And Fire Chief Howard Bailey. And I'm Mayor Jason Leslie. At this time, I'd like to call Pastor Cord Bear to do the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, again, come together to have one mind and one intention to serve this community to the best of our ability. And so, Lord, I pray for each and every attendee here, Lord, that you would grant them the grace and the wisdom to speak well and appropriately. Pray for each and every person in leadership, God, that you would grant them your wisdom and your discernment as they make decisions. I pray, Father, that ultimately this community, in spite of its differences, would stay unified. I pray, Father, for our first responders that serve our community and protect our community from the evil intentions of human beings that would want to ruin this community. Lord, would you bless, protect each of them and their families. And again, Lord, we're privileged to just have the breath of life today. We're grateful that you're the one that gives it. Commit all this to you in the name of our Savior, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may all be seated. Thank you, Pastor Cord. At this time, we'll hear from those of you who have a signed card to speak about any item which is not on the printed agenda for this meeting, including any items on the consent agenda. Each person will be given a total of 3 minutes. I have quite a few cards here, so what I'll do is I will call one name, and then I'll call another name behind it to go on deck. And if you could just go in the front row, that'll make things a little faster and smoother. So our first speaker will be County Councilman Troy Kent, followed by Charles Chakowitz Kramer. Kammer. Sorry, I can't read the handwriting.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission. Troy Kent, Ormond Beachside. I want to talk to you a little bit tonight about Walmart. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Walmart, and I'm going to tell you why. They're an American company. I think their prices are extremely competitive. I can go there and buy socks, fishing hooks, a new tire, and donuts all in one trip. I like that. I still like to go in and shop at a store. I don't want anybody else picking out my stuff. So I wanted to start this with, I'm a fan of Walmart. I am. I went to a community meeting last week where Walmart, I believe, is going to be coming before you all with a special exception. Now, when I was a kid, Walmart was located where the Winn-Dixie was until recently. In 1989, about 36 years ago, they moved to their current location where they are now. 36 years. I went to that community meeting because you only get so many bites at an apple, and you all are sitting in very powerful seats to make a really impactful change for Ormond Beach. Walmart is going to come before you, and I believe it's a special exception. They want something. They're going to be asking you as a city commission to come together and give them what they want. I was there for one reason and one reason only. I wanted to see what the facade of their building was going to look like. I told them at that meeting, Ormond Beach should not have the ugliest Walmart in the state of Florida. They shouldn't have it. They should have the most beautiful Walmart in all of America. And then I showed them a picture of a Walmart in Washington, D.C. And their response to me was, come on, that's Washington, D.C. And my response was, come on, this is Ormond Beach. We deserve to have exactly what Washington, D.C. or anybody else has. All Walmarts are not the same. And you don't have to have one that looks like paint by numbers. You can hold them accountable, and all I need are 3 of you to be strong with that, but gosh, it'd be great to have 5 of you. They mentioned, I heard, well, we have a budget we have to work within. And I maybe I shouldn't have said it, but I said, your family's one of the richest in the world. I understand you have a budget. Everybody has a budget. But they've been pulling hundreds of millions of dollars out of Ormond Beach for 36 plus years at that location. And I just wanted to put a bug in your ear and just tell you, if you've not gone onto Google and put in a simple search of beautiful looking Walmarts, please do. You will be amazed at what you see. There are beautiful locations around, and they can do that right here, and I think they should. This isn't about strong-arming anybody. It's not about being nasty with anybody. It's about saying, you've been doing business with our people for a long time. We just want what Washington, D.C. has. Thank you, and have a nice night.
Thank you, Councilman. Charles, and on deck is Robin Maglioro.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commission, City Manager, and attendees. My name is Charles Jaskowitz. I'm the Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Ormond Beach YMCA, now known as the Charles Lydecker Family YMCA. This quick presentation is the result of questions raised by Commissioners Tolland and Sargent at our annual meeting on January 16th. And what was brought up was a tragic case regarding swim lessons and the loss of a life because of a lack of knowledge of swimming. So what we wanted to do, and that night we're reinforcing it here on, you see on slide 2, under youth development, the Volusia Family YMCAs, Flagler Family YMCAs, give out services to people, scholarships that are either free and reduced because of needs within the family. Flagler Volusia County gave out $374,045 in youth development last year, of which the YMCA here in Ormond Beach, the Lydecker Family YMCA, our YMCA, used $45,861,000 to give out lessons and scholarships to people, including swimming lessons. When we get a parent that comes to us and they qualify for assistance within a scholarship, we may ask they qualify for 1, but if they got 3 children, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we don't say no. We teach everybody. Look what seatbelts have done for lives of children. Swimming lessons should have the same imperative and priority. Healthy living, the Volusia Family YMCAs put out $272,066 last year to help within the community. Our YMCA provided $92,333 in scholarships. That's 34% of the funding within the Flagler Family Volusia YMCAs that was used within our YMCA, your YMCA. The Young Men's Christians Association of Flagler Volusia County has a great partnership with the people of Ormond Beach. Our membership totals, which Liz is going to go over you, equates to roughly 19% of the population of the people in Ormond participate at our YMCA. In totality last year in 2024, the Volusia Flagler Family YMCA assisted our community with financial aid and scholarships totaling $646,381. The Ormond Beach YMCA, the Lydecker Family YMCA, provided $138,194 in scholarships, 21.4% of that budget. Liz will go over some telling numbers for you and we'll conclude.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Liz Kammer. I am the new District Executive Director for the YMCA here in Ormond Beach. I've been with our organization for over 19 years, but I've only been in Ormond for a few months. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to share the picture of what our Y does in this community. If you can go to the next slide for me, I just want you to see in 2022, we started renovations in our facility. Our membership base at that point was 2,723 units. A unit could be one person or it could be a family of 5. So that equaled almost 3,700 individual people. On January 31st of 2024, we are sitting at almost 8,497 people using our Y. So that's pretty exciting. Just wanted to share that growth and what we've done in our Y. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, we appreciate it. Okay. Robin and Doug Pettit on deck.
Robin Magliar, Ormond Beach. I didn't really prepare a speech. I just have some points I'd like to talk about. I don't attend the Ormond Beach city meetings often because I do go to the council, Volusia County Council meetings. There's a conflict of attendance. However, I do listen to every City of Ormond Beach meeting, every single one of them on the video recordings, the audio recordings every time, so I know what's going on in the city. I've asked in the past that hopefully we can get actual video recordings so that we can actually see any important documents that are put up on the screen for those of us that are watching at home that night or the next day. Hopefully that happens sometime in the future. Some positive things for me that have happened in the city recently are the art statues. Everybody seems to really enjoy them. I do myself. The wrapped boxes, the colorful murals being painted on all of our beautiful walls down in our city downtown. The art sign going up, hopefully that'll get people's attention, bring them down to the city. I do want to say that I want to thank the mayor for standing by his Community First slogan for when he ran. He's very approachable, and he lets us speak to him. He speaks to us, and he speaks to us in a way where we can get our concerns out to him, and he responds to us the best he can, keeping it legally so he won't get in trouble. Nobody will get in any trouble, and I thank him for that because he's standing by that. And I'm going to say that his video on the news brought a positive light to the city. Although some people maybe not have agreed at the places that he went to, we all have our different opinions. I myself know the city like the back of my hand, although I've only lived here for 5 years, because I'm out taking photos of this beautiful city on a daily basis. I even know where the rabbit is on New Britain Avenue. I don't know how many people do, the bush rabbit. Anyways, what I do want to say is that unfortunately, what occurred at the last city meeting caused the negative light on this city, and it should have been done in private. And I will always stand for the freedom of speech. I do not support a city ordinance that would take that away from the mayor or anyone sitting up on this dais. The commission should be working together for the people. We are your employers, and you need to remember that. I don't see that happening. What I see are some commissioners trying to bully the new mayor, and I will not stand silent and watch that happen. I would like to think that from this meeting forward, that I will see you all working together for the benefit of the residents of Ormond Beach and working for us and making it the best place that not only you live in, that we live in, because Ormond Beach is a beautiful place to live and a beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Pettit and Gail Ballin is on deck.
Doug Pettit, Beachside, 129 Magnolia. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, and staff, while it's not on tonight's agenda, I stand this evening to oppose the proposal of a censorship ordinance in response to Mayor Leslie's recent media appearances. While I know it's not actually called a censorship ordinance, it can be characterized as nothing less. As a resident, I was pleased to see the mayor showing off our town in both the print and broadcast media. I did not observe a malicious intent in Mayor Leslie's interviews, and certainly not to the extent of deserving the kind of treatment he has endured as a result, but rather an example of someone who truly cares about his town. It's been stated that the mayor should have informed the public information officer of the interview. I only to learn in an article published this morning that the PIO was aware of the News 6 request to interview the mayor, but made a strategic decision not to respond. Was the mayor informed of this strategic decision and part of it? The PIO stated that the city was actively collaborating on story ideas through Ormond Main Street. Looking at Ormond Main Street's website, it shows to be made up of, among other things, influential stakeholders, and therein may lie a major part of this problem. Since when are city's elected officials required to subordinate themselves to a nonprofit's influential stakeholders? Let me be blunt. This dispute seems to be rooted in elected officials servicing these influential stakeholders or acquiescing to political advisors or the disgruntled minority that lost the recent election. It's not at all about preventing confusion. It's about retribution. That's how the residents see it. And that's how most of us who have had any connection to the political apparatus of this county see it. And your efforts to promote this as a virtuous riding to the rescue while concealing your disdain for Mr. Leslie and what he did to your machine are transparent. Again, being blunt, Jason Leslie is a little rough around the edges sometimes. He doesn't easily possess the trappings of sophistication that might appeal to the influential stakeholders. He's a regular guy who prefers to spend his time at the American Legion or with the regular folks over at Iron Horse. Mayor Leslie's overwhelming virtue is his enthusiasm for Ormond Beach. Rather than some draconian ordinance, what the residents that I'm familiar with would like to see is a sincere effort to discard the prejudices and alliances of the political process and work together to improve and strengthen how you inform and engage not only the residents, but each other for a stronger Ormond Beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Gail Belland, and on deck is Elena Kraft.
Good evening, Mayor Leslie, commissioners, and city staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before the commission. I'm here this evening as both a 13-year resident of Ormond Beach and as the city's representative to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, the BPAC, which is a subcommittee of the Volusia Flagler Transportation and Planning Organization. Over the 10 years as the city's representative to the BPAC, I've worked closely with Assistant City Manager Sean Finley and very much appreciate his time, his expertise, and willingness to collaborate. I'm here to speak in support of consent agenda item 6I, the Hand Avenue mixed-use path, which would run from Nova Road to Williamson. While there are some small segments of the sidewalk from Nova to Clyde Morris, there is inadequate or no sidewalk at all from Clyde Morris to Williamson. I live in Chelsea Place, in the Chelsea Place development bordered by both Hand and Granada. Because of the increasing traffic on Granada, with much more to come as development on Williamson continues, along with the developments west of I-95, drivers have discovered Hand Avenue, thus increasing the number of cars that traverse the road on a daily basis. A few years ago, my neighbor was riding his bike during the daytime on Hand Avenue in the bike lane. He was hit by a driver and killed. If there had been even a sidewalk, even a 3-foot sidewalk, he most likely would have been on he would not have been on that very narrow bike path, sharing the road with vehicles going 45 to 50 miles an hour and sometimes faster. I frequently see parents with strollers, as I did today, bicycle pulling a trailer with a baby in it, bicyclists, pedestrians, runners, and residents with their dogs all walking or riding in the narrow bike lane. Having a mixed-use path on Hand Avenue will enable bicyclists and pedestrians to more safely traverse Ormond Beach to other areas of the city for shopping, to bus stops, for recreation, for doctor's appointments, and even to the nearby hospital. Connectivity to other parts of the city, as well as to neighboring cities, will enhance the quality of life and bring more commerce, better health, and improved public safety to the residents of Ormond Beach. With drivers distracted by their smartphones, by GPS maps on their dashboards or on their phones, conversations with passengers, and paying attention to traffic, which is ever more, it is imperative to separate pedestrians and bicyclists from such traffic. I encourage the Commission to vote in favor of this proposed mixed-use path, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gail. Elena Kraft and Harvey Burton on deck.
Good evening, Council. My name is Elena Kraft. I live here in Ormond Beach. So I'm here to address the discussion that took place during the last meeting in regards to Mayor Leslie's Channel 6 tour of the city. To me and every resident I spoke to, and I spoke to quite a few, the 4-minute segment was a positive spotlight on our city. The worst thing that the mayor did in that tour was to provide an estimate for when the Rainbow Park renovations would be completed, and he happened to be off by a week. What a crime. In fact, that Innocent Channel 6 segment was so offensive to one of the commissioners that she proposed a ridiculous ordinance similar to Daytona Beach Shores' ordinance, which includes the following language, and I quote, "If the mayor or city council member is communicating without the specific authorization of the city council, the mayor or city council member must specifically disclose that his or her opinions expressed are solely his or her personal opinions and do not reflect the opinions of the city or the city council. In violation of this section shall be deemed malfeasance in office." That's the ordinance that you guys are looking at. I mean, it sounds like speech suppression. It sounds just horrible. So here's my question. Why do we elect commissioners to represent each of our areas? And why do we elect the mayor to represent all of Ormond Beach if they would need to get authorization from the other members before communicating with their constituents? Makes absolutely no sense. So in clear terms, this speech is both, this ordinance is speech regulation, towing on speech suppression. There's really no justification for this ordinance. And I would be very curious to hear what justification Daytona Beach Shores had in enacting this ordinance. I asked our city attorney if any other municipalities in Volusia County had a similar ordinance, and he said he was not aware of any other one. My guess is that very few cities have such a draconian ordinance in place because there are plenty of other ways to address concerns through common sense, collaboration, and respectful best practices. The irony is not lost on our residents. You're trying to limit the mayor's communication with his constituents because you're afraid he will misrepresent the city. Yet you're blind to how destructive this attempt at limiting speech and engagement with the community is for our city. I found it both counterproductive and unprofessional to hear three commissioners, Commissioners Tolland, Sargent, and Deaton, all turn on the new mayor, proving that you have no intention to work together for the sake of our city and the residents. So if it wasn't clear enough, I am asking you to kill this proposed ordinance before it does any more damage to the trust our community puts in you. Thank you.
Thank you. Harvey Burton, and on deck is Jennifer Bright.
Please call me Alan. 915 Ocean Shore Boulevard. I'm here tonight to talk about a park system evaluation as an evaluation tool. Evaluation is vital for the administration of a municipality, including our park and recreation system. A park system includes, but is not limited to, our comp plan, recreation and park element, a park and recreation master plan, where you, the City Commission, have spent thousands of dollars on plans and millions of dollars on operations. On page 31 and 32, if I can get to it, 31 and 32 has a matrix of your park system, which is pretty good. And that it describes a complete matrix of your park system with categories down the yellow, and it has objectives along the side. So those categories are proximity to access to linkages, comfort and image, uses and activities, buildings and architecture. With the new landscape ordinance, Regrow the Loop, and now Regrow Volusia, thanks to Councilman Kent initiative, and flooding, I suggest to the City Commission to insert a category of natural amenities for the 75% native plants that our planning department has just gone through enormous efforts for, trees, safety, and park drainage for future discussion and policy development. The updated park evaluation system will provide longitudinal data for your natural system with hundreds of acres of lakes and parkland. Therefore, develop a template to evaluate all parks by a citizen Advisory Board. Collect data and evaluate the allocation of resources to sustain and maintain our park system. The data would be organized and presented, like you have here, with the recommendations and priorities for specific efficient, effective, and efficacious action. A park system including natural amenities evaluation is an essential tool for the City Commission. Please consider this suggestion during your upcoming planning sessions. I thank you, and I would ask the mayor if I could include my comments to be part of the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
You're welcome.
Jennifer Bright, and on deck is Caroline Myers.
Good evening. I was deeply troubled when I listened to the February 18th meeting to hear our deputy mayor state, and I quote, "to uphold the principles of our commission rather than acting independently in ways that do not reflect our collective governance." Collective governance is a governing arrangement where one or more public agencies directly engage with non-state backers in collective decision-making processes. Karl Marx's concept of collective government is associated with communism, a social and political ideology that strives to create a classless society where all property and wealth are communally owned. This is where we, the citizens, can see a reoccurring theme where a few of our commissioners are continually suggesting the city acquire private land. Again, it was brought up that Ormond Beach operates under the commission manager form of government, but Section 4.02 was not referenced. Appointment. The city commission shall appoint the city manager. B, removal. Subject to, in conformity with any conditions of employment approved by the city commission, the city manager may be removed by a majority vote of the city commission. So why would the Zone 2 commissioner who made the indirect inference that someone on the dais was trying to get the city manager fired? This in itself was unprofessional, only trying to create discord. And then they have the audacity to say, if you have a problem, call that person, sit down with them or discuss it. This from a commissioner who has yet to respond to multiple requests from his constituents to set up a meeting to discuss concerns. It would appear that some of our elected officials have developed the mindset that the elected body should be a well-planned echo chamber where senior staff create public policy behind closed doors and their role as elected officials is merely to rubber stamp it. Hopefully the mayor maintains his individuality and refuses the bureaucrat's official line before issuing information to his constituents. This is why the residents of Ormond Beach elected him. Thank you.
Next up, Caroline Myers, on deck, Joe Danio. Oh, John, I'm sorry.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of the commissioners of the Ormond Beach Housing Authority. I am Ms. Caroline Myers. I'm the executive director of that agency. I am here this evening to share our accomplishments during my tenure. We are an agency that serves 187 housing vouchers and manage 41 low-income housing units that is located South Washington Street, Division Street, Hand Avenue, Floorman Avenue, and Ramsey Terrace. When I was appointed to that position for the agency, it was a standard performer through hard work, commitment, dedication, accountability, not just on behalf of the agency, but accountability of the residents as well. We are performing as a high performer over 4 years. We obtained that grade through the Section 8 Management Assessment Program. We call it for short the CMAP program. It measures the performance of the public housing agencies that administer the Housing Choice Voucher Program in 14 key areas. CMAP helps HUD target monitoring and assistance to FAR programs that need the most improvement. I have done a lot, but will continue to strive to make those units modern, safe, and decent. Thank you for the time and for allowing me to share a little bit of what our agency is and we will continue to do for the residents we serve. We value being a part of the Ormond Beach community and its esteem. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. John up, and on deck we have Suzanne Schreiber.
Mayor, Commission, my name is John Danio, and I live at 11 Palmetto Dunes Court. I recently moved back to Ormond Beach from Holly Hill, where I lived for 15 years and currently own and operate my business, which just last week celebrated 37 years. I served on the Holly Hill City Commission for the past 8 years, and I was fortunate to get elected at a good time. We recruited our city manager, Joe Forte, back, and our vision-focused team began its work. We eliminated blight on US 1 by removing outdoor displays. We redid the Sunrise boat ramp. We unveiled and dedicated a new beautiful granite Veterans Memorial in front of City Hall to honor those Holly Hill residents who lost their lives in battle. With the help of $1.2 million in appropriations, we cut the ribbon at our new fire station last month, and we are now working with a couple who submitted plans and has begun work on a high-end RV park off of Flomish Boulevard to complement our biggest achievement, Pictona. Through ECHO grants and private funding, Holly Hill now owns what could easily be the finest pickleball facility in the country. And I say all this not to brag, but to point out the importance of one critical component: teamwork. Our commission wasn't perfect, neither was our city, but we always respected each other's opinions, and if we disagreed, well, we agreed to disagree. The mayor didn't need our permission to promote our city. That's his right, and honestly, that's his job. And if he mistakenly says something, he should be corrected behind closed doors. Not up here, certainly not in the newspaper. The city of Ormond Beach did not elect a commission to squabble and determine what the mayor can and can't do. They want continued progress. And one thing I've learned in government is progress takes teamwork. Without it, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Let's refocus and get back to work. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Suzanne and Connie Colby on deck.
Good evening. I'm Suzanne Schreiber with Dream Green Volusia. I'm here to talk about PFAS. If you've never heard of PFAS, it stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl, in layman's terms, forever chemicals. These forever chemicals pollute our water and ruin our health and our economy. The chemicals build in our bodies and cost an estimated $1.5 billion a year in deaths and illnesses, including but not limited to cancer, heart attacks, and strokes. An example of PFAS is in firefighter foam. Our organization took water samples for a PFAS study conducted by a team at the University of Florida. The study on PFAS in Florida's freshwater springs was published in Science of the Total Environment. In this study, 50 freshwater springs were analyzed, and the springs with the highest concentration of PFAS were Green Spring, Blue Spring, and Gemini Springs right here in Volusia County. The three most contaminated springs were all within a 10-mile radius of Deltona. The cities within the 10-mile radius are Orange City, Deltona, Lake Helen, DeBary, and DeLand. In 2022, we did a PFAS test with Cyclopure labs from residents' unfiltered tap water in Deltona and Lake Helen. The results coincided with UF results. So why am I here, and what is it that I want you to know tonight? The federal government had passed a requirement that PFAS compliance monitoring to agencies begins in 2027 and compliance with maximum contaminant levels be met by 2029. But with the new president, this is now paused. And that's okay, but it can't stay paused. Reverse osmosis treatment plants are one of the most effective filtration systems to remove PFAS contaminants in water. Ormond Beach has this type of water treatment system. However, the west side cities and county do not. The Deltona Commission voted to accept the Ferrero law firm as representation in a PFAS litigation suit for their water in January of this year. See, when governments sell water, they do hold a responsibility to the people they represent. If the city of Ormond Beach finds it in their interest to discuss PFAS in our city or at the state level or even in Washington, D.C., I would remind that no one wants to drink polluted water. Selling drinking water does come with responsibility, which is why the vote was unanimous in Deltona to pursue litigation. They need water treatment to remove PFAS. We spoke on this issue at the Volusia delegation, the roundtable of elected officials, the city of Lake Helen, and separately to certain elected officials. I come before you speaking on this subject tonight because of previous closing comments on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Connie up, and on deck, we have Jeff Boyle. Yeah, you're up, yep, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Connie Colby, 108 Robo Lane in Ormond Beach. First of all, as far as Ms. Caroline from the Housing Authority, I've been to a couple of their meetings. They maintain one of the most well-maintained housing in our area. It's an asset to Ramsey Court. Two things I would like to talk about. First of all, the property on Wilmette, the 20-acre property that I've heard is subject of possibly purchasing. As far as the price, I would like to suggest that you look at the property appraiser's website for Volusia County. It doesn't come anywhere near close to $2 million. It looks like there's 4 properties there, and check that out before you decide to spend $2 million on that. Otherwise, it looks like a nice piece of property to have. I don't know what the situation is at this point with the gas station at the Circle K at Nova and Hand Avenue. If I were a person living on Collins, I would not like to have that in my backyard. It looks like it's a property that can be a commercial property acceptable there, permitted. I think it's a conditional use to have the gas tanks there, though, and I don't know if that needs to be approved as a conditional use, how that works. I would worry about the fact that it drops up, the property drops off, and with the cement there, people with their gas tanks loading up and gas maybe going into the cement, rain washing down into somebody's backyard might be an issue for contamination for people's yards. There is a drop-off behind that property, and not too long ago, maybe 2 years ago, a person at the opposite end of the street behind All Aboard came to, I believe it was a planning commission, and was concerned because he had runoff from All Aboard going into his swimming pool, which had to be corrected, and that place had been there for a while. So I would suggest that somebody look into the fact that maybe they don't need to have gas tanks at that property. There's already 2 other gas stations there. It's kind of overkill and not really quite fair to the people that already have been supporting our community with their gas stations. Thank you.
Jeff Boyle, and on deck is Hunter Wendostedt. I couldn't read the writing here, but Windows, there you go. Yeah, it's a little scribbly.
Jeff Boyle, 614 North Halifax Drive. It's now been 2 weeks since the 3 commissioners made objections to the mayor's televised comments. Those objections are still being debated with another article in this morning's newspaper and the audience remarks we've heard tonight, which called 3 commissioners bullies and accused you of alliances and other things. It appears that it's the messengers that's the problem then, not the message of false information. To offer some perspective and clarification, this was never an attack on the mayor, only a challenge to false information that blindsided the community. Information still not corrected. Like the previous speakers, we respect the mayor's important role in serving as the ceremonial, symbolic, and public face of our city, and as our spokesperson, a source of public information. That is why the commission, staff, and all residents must assist the mayor to make sure that public information is documented, transparent, accountable, and accurate. The credibility of all of us depends on that accuracy. Public trust is fragile. It is built on truth. The Channel 6 segment created confusion about whether Ormond residents have to pay to park in any Romano beachfront park, about the possibility of an executive golf course at the airport, and about the threat of the massive fuel terminal locating itself on our city's doorstep. A subject, I might add, that has really caused great consternation in this community, and we believe it's been settled, although the mayor would disagree with me on that. There's a growing awareness that the mayor's most vocal supporters, and we've heard from some tonight, oppose our city government and all of its public decisions. Mr. Mayor, please reach out to them, address their issues, turn their negative energy into positive energy for our city. You're a mayor to all of us, those who voted for you and those who did not. And since I'm preaching accuracy, 2,997 voters who did not vote for either candidate. Please do everything a mayor can do to unify us. Thank you.
Hunter? No.
Hunter Windelstead, 88 South St. Andrews Drive. I just wanted to say I was blessed a few months ago to become the ambassador to this city. And what I've witnessed even tonight, I was late, but the snickers in the room, and clearly people have taken a side. And that's not what Ormond Beach is all about, okay? Ormond Beach has become a wonderful place that I've been here since 1971. After being born, I moved from Atlanta. The reason we're so amazing is not because of Snickers in the back and playing the blame game. Yes, you are mayor, Mr. Mayor. You are. Whether we voted for you or not, you won. And everyone wants you to succeed. We all do. But I think it's very important to realize how amazing this commission is, how amazing they have been, and if we work together. And working together is you asking them. You had the thing on TV, that's fantastic. Those probably would not have been the things that I would have focused on in Ormond Beach. And maybe you should have asked the commissioners what they thought would have been the great thing to focus on and spotlight. It's just one of those things, there are growing pains. You're new to the area. Just remember, for those of us that have been here for a long time, we're not against you, we're for you. But like I said earlier, the snickering, and my daughter showed me some of the comments online, because if anyone Googles me, you'll see what a terrible person I am. I'm used to getting nasty comments about myself and my family and things like that. And I understand how that feels sometimes. But for this commission to get those comments, that's unjust. They've been here, they've been in this community. Everyone up here has done a fantastic job. Mr. Mayor, please lean on them for their assistance. And that would be my only advice to you in the future. You know, Ms. Caroline, thank you for all the work you do. That's an amazing story too. Ormond Beach is a fantastic place. I travel around the country. I am the ambassador to the city. I've told everyone all the wonderful things, Bike Week, I'm here, there, I'm everywhere. What we need to do is come together with common ground, stop the Snickers, stop the baloney, get together, work together, and you know what? If not enough people like what you're doing, you won't be here in a couple years. If you do a fantastic job, you'll be sitting up there for as long as you want. But this seems very personal, and that's something that Mayor Partington disagreed a lot of times with the commission, but they always came together with a common ground, and they always had that solidified. When he would go to the community, they talked. Mr. Mayor, please make sure you talk to them. And those of you that don't think this city commission is not right, it's because you're being partisan, because you're friends of the mayor. If you don't think they're doing a good job, you're wrong. It's not about the gas station, this, that, the other thing. We all have problems with what's going on, but you need to work together and realize how good they can be.
Thank you, Hunter. At this time, we're going to move over to the approval of the minutes for the February 4th, 2025 City Commission meeting. The minutes have been sent to the Commission for review and posted to the city's website. Does anyone have any corrections, or changes at this time?
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Voice vote, please. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Move over to consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are deemed routine and non-controversial. The action proposed is stated for each item. Unless the City Commission removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Does any member of the Commission wish to pull any items from the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? There's one good second. Please call the vote, please.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Does any commissioners wish to comment on any of the consent agendas at this time? Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to comment on 6H and 6I. I'll start with 6H, the skate park. I appreciate the challenges to keep a reliable company that operates the concession stand and keeps an eye on the children at our skate park. I have to say that the skate park was not one of my favorite additions when it was first suggested when I served on the Leisure Services Board. I have since changed my mind, and I appreciate the services provided to the residents. It is used abundantly by our youth, and it may serve up to approximately 30 youth a day. So I just wanted to justify that cost that we spend for our quality of life. And then the other consent agenda item I wanted to just highlight is 6I, and that's the TPO project. I want to personally thank Gail, our BPAC representative, for her comments tonight and her insight and her service to the community. So thank you, Gail. I'm thankful to Sean Finley and staff for pushing this grant for a mixed-use path along Hand Avenue between Williamson and Clyde Morris. And there are other grants to be considered, and I would personally like staff to continue to look for ways to connect our city and increase safety. And just for you commissioners, I'll be discussing a need to update that master plan during our workshop. And that's the end of my comments.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments on the consent before we move on? Okay. We're going to move to 7 now. We'll now open the public hearings. And City Clerk, please read Title 7A.
Ordinance number 2025-12, an ordinance adopting certain updated schedules to the capital improvements element of the City of Ormond Beach Comprehensive Plan, providing when such updates shall take effect, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2025-12, read by title only.
Do we need Stephen Spraker to speak on this, or?
No.
Move approval.
Second.
We don't have any cards here. Any other questions by the commission before I call the vote? Okay. City Clerk, please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 7B, please read title.
Ordinance number 2025-13, an ordinance amending section 11-1, fluoridation of water supply of Article 1 in general of Chapter 11, Health, Sanitation, and Environmental Protection of the Code of Ordinances, providing terms and conditions and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-13, read by title only.
Do we need Stephen to speak on the item? No? Oh, sure, I'm sorry. No? Okay. I do have 2 cards, so I'll have the two speakers come up, and then we'll kind of go from there. Jerry Valsic and Amy on deck.
Good evening. Again, I'm Jerry Valsic, living on the Ormond Beach side. I devoted most of my 40-year professional engineering career to providing safe drinking water for large communities, including the Army, the U.S. Army worldwide. Based on this expertise, I am staunchly opposed to repealing the city's water fluoridation ordinance. A Community Voices article in last week's Observer explains my view. Now, more you need to know. You need to let the voters decide this issue just as they did in 1957 when Ormond residents voted to establish our city's water fluoridation program. You need to hold a public workshop for citizen input, especially since this has significant public health impact. First, you have said your decision to end fluoridation was based on the state Surgeon General's guidance and resident pleas. Let me address that. First, the state Surgeon General's blanket guidance to eliminate water fluoridation was based on a report that would not survive scientific scrutiny, according to the American Dental Association. The 19 studies he cited relied on atypically high fluoride exposure levels, invalid biomarkers, and insufficient sample sizes. These excessively high levels are the rare exception and not the rule, especially in the vast majority of U.S. communities like ours, where water fluoridation is highly regulated at safe, optimal levels. Second, are you aware of the Stand for Health Freedom Indiana group that has been trying to end fluoride use by targeting 100 Florida cities and their council members with a deluge of emails, texts, and phone calls? Did you verify that those urging you to end fluoridation were actually Ormond residents? It's so important to confirm this source and get objective science and fact-based guidance on this issue. And of course, resident input. Third, on the free choice argument, everyone has it, absolutely. Any one of the 70% of our state's population who use fluoridated community water can choose not to or get fluoride elsewhere. However, these choices should not be the basis for denying the rest of us the benefit of optimal fluoridation. You actually denied our free choice when you ended fluoridation and did not let the voters decide. Finally, I urge you to reestablish optimal water fluoridation immediately to do no further harm, and in light of the questionable basis for cessation. 2, reestablish the city's environmental committee or a new advisory task force for prudent expert advice. 3, hold a public workshop to discuss all points of view. And lastly, then put the issue to the voters and let us decide for ourselves.
Thank you, Jerry. Amy?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Deputy Mayor, Commissioners, and City staff. I'm Amy Valsick, and I live on the Ormond Beach side. I'm also here in opposition to repealing the existing ordinance that ensures safe, optimal fluoridation of our city's drinking water. I've done my homework and have some important insights to share. First, have you talked to the experts? Have you gotten firsthand feedback from our frontline workers, dentists, dental hygienists, pediatricians? I have, and they tell horrendous stories of the lifelong damage that a lack of fluoridated water causes. It's utterly startling. Like the Ormond dentist, who knows instantly if a new patient grew up in an area with fluoridated water because a mouthful of fillings, crowns, and missing teeth is a telltale sign. Fluoride is most beneficial to kids as their jaws and teeth are developing. Without that, another dentist had to give dentures to a teenager. They've seen what they call the dentistry domino effect, where a single cavity leads to a filling, a crown, and later a root canal and other issues. These procedures are costly, invasive, anxiety-producing, and preventable with safe, optimal water fluoridation. And speaking of experts, have you met yet with our own Public Works Director to get his input on water fluoridation? Next, ROI. You've said that stopping fluoride will save the city approximately $14,800 a year, but the taxpayer savings of continuing it are much greater. 2024 data from the CDC proves that optimally fluoridating water offers a $20 return in dental cost savings for every dollar spent, So the $14,800 a year that we spend on fluoridation times $20 ROI saves residents $296,000 a year in dental treatments. Further, since water fluoridation results in 25% fewer cavities, it saves $32 per person a year by avoiding dental treatments, missed days of school and work. For 44,000 Ormond residents, that saves $1.4 million a year. The taxpayer savings are undeniable. Third, freedom of choice. When you decided to stop fluoridating our city water without giving us a vote, our freedom of choice was taken away, and you invariably injured the most vulnerable among us. Our communities underserved, especially kids, will suffer the most. Extras like fluoride toothpaste and oral hygiene products are not as effective, and regular dental care is not universally affordable and accessible. Commissioners, you've made a health decision that affects all of us, based on questionable data and a few voices. We appreciate your commitment, but respectfully, you alone should not be making this decision. Call for a public workshop, allow public input and debate, talk to the experts, then let the people vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. At this time, I don't have any more cards. I'll ask for a motion for approval and a second, and then we'll just kind of go into discussion at that point, and we can rotate it from Zone 1 Commissioner on up. If you guys have any comments or anything you'd like to say.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Sure. Thank you for your research and your comments. I appreciate that. Community fluoridation has become a very controversial subject again recently. I will state that I am fairly neutral regarding whether we remove or continue fluoridating our water. My research of the pros and cons both showed flawed data, studies, and results on both sides. The push to remove is great, and I've only heard from you all and one other resident to keep fluoride in our water. The ADA, the American Dental Association, supports community fluoridation, and our Surgeon General supports removal. Florida is next in line to consider anti-fluoride bills. Just in today, DeSantis is expecting federal health regulations to follow, pushing the ban for fluoride in drinking water. If this occurs, then there's absolutely no need for discussion or putting it on a referendum where you will have to pay for that extra voting privilege. At this point, will continue to vote to amend the ordinance of the water, of supplying, the ordinance of fluoridation of the water supply, Article 1, Chapter 11, Section 1.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Valsex, thank y'all for coming. Thank you for your research. I respect y'all. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. I go back to the positive feedback that I've received from residents, including dentists, that some of the dentists, a couple of them that I talked to, said that they were pushed in dental school to push fluoride. Times have changed. I believe water should be water. You know, you reference freedom of choice. Well, on the flip side, if we automatically include it, we're limiting freedom of choice for those that do not want it. So I went to the store today and I picked up Crest toothpaste for kids, $4.29 for that. Colgate, $1.49. I'll just read, both warnings are on there. Sorry, I'm getting old. Keep out of reach of children 6 years or younger. If more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away with the 800 number to Poison Control Center. I know when this started, I think it was about 16 years ago, Commissioner Kent, now Councilman Kent, brought this forward. And he sent certified letters to all the manufacturers of this chemical. to ask what was in it. Do you know how many responses he got? 0. None of the manufacturers were willing to provide the data for a chemical that we are including in our water system. Water should be water. You know, with heart conditions going on, are we going to start putting heart medicine in our water so we can limit that? Where does it stop? I am 100% for removing fluoride from our water. And when you read these, I mean, it's very concerning. Call poison control. And once again, freedom of choice goes both ways. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. Commissioner Deaton.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you both for the time and effort you guys have put in to be here. I really do appreciate it. And Amy, I appreciate the conversations we've had. They've been very smart. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do want to revert back to the conversation regarding the water treatment facility. I did have a conversation. He did say he'd be fine with it being removed. So I went and had a conversation with my dentist, and he thanked me for getting him more clients. So with that, I am going to stay against the fluoride. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Deaton. I will also say thank you to Jerry and Amy for your efforts on this. And I will have to go with the rest of the commission here because, like some of them said, that we had a lot of. I didn't get that many people that were opposed to it. Taking it out. We had more people in favor. And I have 2 dentists in the family who I called and contacted and asked them their input about it. And they said, honestly, a lot of the cavities come from kids drinking vitamin waters and all this other sugary drinks. And they don't think that, that's where the biggest problem is. And so fluoride, it's just ridiculous. It was something that was pushed on them in medical school. They were both not really big believers of it. And I also think that, government shouldn't be medicating us. I really do. So unfortunately, I'm just going to have to go with taking this fluoride out of the water. I think it's a good step in the right direction. But however, until the state does anything, we can't always reverse this thing back. I mean, we just have to go back to the steps that we were going through right now. If we decide to change course, while these rules are in place now by the state legislator, that can change. It looks like the state legislator is going to probably, ask the cities to eliminate it or make some kind of legislative law on it. But like I said, I'm going to stand firm in my position right now. Thank you. But thank you for what you guys did. At that time, if there's no more deliberation here, we do have a motion for approval, and I will call the vote. I'm sorry, you call the vote.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. I will now close the public hearings. I'll now move on to staff and commission reports, suggestions, and requests, starting with the city manager, Joy Shanahan.
Thank you all. Just a couple reminders, upcoming meetings, March 12th and 13th, you're going to have a goal-setting workshop. On Tuesday, April 1st, we will have a regular commission meeting, so there's a possible workshop that might be before that, but we don't know 100% yet. Tuesday, April 1st, public art workshop is being proposed. And we'll confirm with the City Commission if you decide that's a good date for that. And we'll send this out to you in the mail, just so you know. Tuesday, April 22nd, we're proposing a workshop for stormwater flooding. That's one of the ones that you have asked us to prepare. On Tuesday, May 6th, will be the final goal-setting workshop. Tuesday, January 3rd, please mark your calendars. That's our capital improvement plan for the budget. So that's Tuesday, June 3rd. That's really important. That's the first budget workshop. We always do the CIP first. And then Tuesday, July 15th would be our operating budget. So as you have traditionally done in the past, after your Tuesday, June 3rd meeting, the commission takes a recess until the budget workshop on July 15th. So what I would ask you to do is look at your calendars for those upcoming, they should be on your, because they're traditional workshop day, regular commission days, but take a look at that so we can get that on the calendar and we can clear the road going forward. in a joint effort between NID and PD with Rotary, the Rotary Club of Ormond Beach, correct? Downtown Ormond Beach, excuse me. In a joint effort between Neighborhood Improvement Division, Police Department with the Rotary Club of Downtown Ormond Beach, a property was cleaned up on Peachtree Terrace, and the resulting collection was astonishing, quite honestly. 1.76 tons of debris and materials on a residential property, or 3,520 pounds were removed from that property. So I want to do a special shout out to the Rotary Club and to PD and NID for organizing that. The neighbors had been upset about that property for a very long time, and they were finally able to get some approval to enter the property and do some action. So well done by everybody. I'm pleased to report that the city staff, all of our staff has completed the Florida Alliance to End Human Trafficking training that you had suggested, Mr. Mayor, and the city has requested its 100% club membership certificate. Cyber Secure Florida launched an initiative by Cyber Florida, and pursuant to state statute, training for staff is underway and is expected to be completed by end of April. The state requires all employees to be trained in cybersecurity so that we can help eliminate people opening up bad emails and running through your whole system. So thanks to Chuck Osteen, our IT manager, for organizing that. Additionally, we had a free training session that came by the way of the Florida League of Cities. Was that? The Florida League of Cities offered some training to about 40 or 50 staff members a week ago or so. It was free of charge to the city, and it was a 4-hour training session, so we are very grateful for that. Airport update, the Collector Road next to extend runway drive from West Tower Circle to Pineland Trail was completed following the final contractor's walkthrough. That was one of our CIPs from last year, so we got that road cut through. And, Mr. Mayor, you'll be excited to hear this one. The 2025 Mayor's Health and Fitness Challenge, the kickoff and weigh-in celebration is Saturday, March 29th, 2025 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Joe and Ewelly Daniels South Ormond Neighborhood Center. You can register online at the city's website. We traditionally have ours a little bit later than after the first of the year, so those people that have already fallen off the wagon from their January 1st goals, you can kick back in gear and do it then. So we're looking forward to that. Just a couple more items I would like to share with you. I would like to extend a warm congratulations to Alex Schumann. He was named one of the 40 under 40 by the News Journal. Congratulations, Alex. And I would like to thank Chief Godfrey and Commissioner Tolland for their participation on the opioid task force, abatement task force, and making available those kits to the biker that help if you're having a fentanyl overdose. You just get the one shot, one breath thing, and it helps revive you. Those are life-saving measures, and we applaud those efforts. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any for me tonight.
Any questions? No?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joyce. Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley.
Hi, good evening. I just want to echo Joyce's comments about the Neighborhood Improvement Division and their work on the property cleanup, and add to that an appreciation for the legal department as well. So our manager and NID, Chris Mason, works very closely with legal. As you all know, private property issues are complicated and time-consuming, and they just partner together and do a phenomenal job. So I know our residents appreciate it when we're able to get some results on those issues. Just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Claire. City Attorney Randy Hayes.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. This evening we'll begin with Deputy Mayor Commissioner Tolland.
All right. Good evening. Couple notes that I took during the meetings. First of all, I wanted to thank Hunter Wendelstadt for coming. and being very candid and speaking the truth, and I applaud you for that, and I appreciate that. I also want to thank the YMCA. I think they left for their very informative report and support of Ormond Beach, and that did come out of the very tragic event that we had in our town, losing that one little child. And so we had questioned what we can do as a community. You can't put fences around every body of water. And the YMCA did reach out and say, this is what we do. And hopefully there'll be more families that will take advantage of those scholarships and teaching our kids to swim. This should have happened last time, but we got sidetracked. So I wanted to, I need my glasses. I can't read, can't see. I want to thank you, Mayor, for appointing Debbie Crook and Marvin Miller as ambassadors a few meetings ago, our last meeting. And I would like to formally congratulate them. I had something written up, and I'm going to read it tonight, even though they're not here. I'm sure they'll hear it at some point. Debbie, your appointment as a Goodwill Ambassador is a well-deserved honor and reflects your dedication to supporting our veterans and the community. Your passion and tireless efforts to uplift and advocate for those who have served are truly inspiring. This nomination is a testament to your leadership and compassion. I wish you continued success as you bring positive change and strengthen the bonds within our community. Congratulations. The next is to Marvin Miller. Congratulations on your nomination as a Goodwill Ambassador. This prestigious role is a true testament to your dedication, your character, and your commitment to fostering positive relationships and representing the best of our community. Your ability to connect with people and promote goodwill will undoubtedly be a meaningful impact. I have no doubt you will continue to inspire others along the way. I'm wishing you much success and fulfillment in this well-deserved position. And I apologize, I have a lot to say tonight. Joyce, thank you for acknowledging the opioid abatement meeting. I wanted to give the commissioners just a little update of our last meeting and what we were able to do. I think it's really important, as we're assigned to different committees, to come back to you and let you know what's going on. So the grant money for this quarter was awarded to West Volusia Neighborhood Center, Heartstone, and First Step Shelter. And just in case you all don't know what the abatement is all about, these are monies that supports additional programs or services to those in recovery. The board voted to begin to accept for-profit applications in the future, as well as nonprofits. Money granted is from funds awarded from pharmaceutical lawsuits fighting the opioid epidemic. There are very strict guidelines and restrictions on how that money can be used. The board is made up of county representatives and is well diversified. An initiative that passed this last meeting was suggested by county staff as an app that can be used for professional outreach and as a public resource to help or provide help for those seeking recovery. For instance, if you're a mom and you have a child that is suffering from opioid addiction, it's really difficult to find a resource or where you go and what you do. So there will be an app that if you Google it, you can find it, and it will point you in different directions, helping you get those resources needed. And it will also be a resource to those companies already in the business of providing recovery by finding those people. So it's a connective piece. Of course, there is a cost, and the opioid abatement money will be used for that purpose. But the board felt it was worthwhile and it was important. And speaking of drugs, I do want to talk about the One Box. And I do know that, Joyce, I think you were a recipient of this email, but it was very informative, and I think it's important for the commission and the public to hear. This was an email from Missy O'Brien, who is a Volusia Recovery Alliance advocate. And it came out of a meeting I was at in Port Orange for opioid, can't remember. It was a breakfast. I can't remember the name of the group. Anyway, Missy said she wants to thank everyone for their support. Volusia Recovery Alliance, Karen, who is the CEO of that company, and I, Missy, are thrilled with the strong community partnerships. Advent Health sponsorship of 25 One Boxes is a huge win for Volusia County and shows your organization's commitment to help saving lives. After we spoke on Friday, she's speaking to me. I called and made an immediate appointment with Miss Karen from Volusia Recovery, and especially since she was visiting with members of Sheriff Chitwood and Captain Camerer's opioid task force. We spoke about this Bike Week harm reduction push, and they agreed to support and assist by getting me a list of 25 establishments in the whole of Volusia County that hit our metrics of need. And Commissioners, you have that metric in front of you. While she waited for the list, I received a call from the Ormond Beach Chief Godfrey with his list and declaration of support. I immediately called the Ormond Beach Victims Advocate Courtney, who agreed to join me in outreaching to the Ormond Beach locations. When we returned Friday evening, I had my list from my opioid task force and planned my weekend outreach. I was thrilled that almost every one of the established I contacted was grateful for the One Box and the knowledge that our organizations care. These stories I heard of overdoses and the number of individuals working at these establishments in recovery was staggering. It was extremely humbling and a positive connection to Advent Health and our Ormond Beach Police Department with their collaborative outreach. In 3 days, I have outreached to 28 establishments, placed 16 One Boxes with 29 individually trained on overdose recognition and reversal of 256 kits of Narcan handed out. The One Boxes each have 4 kits of Narcan, and most locations received a total of 12 additional kits. All One Box recipients were trained on the usage and charging the box. So what this is a box that's got Narcan and PPE like gloves within the box. You open it up, and there is a little video that says, the first thing it says is, okay, breathe. So you take a deep breath and you breathe, and then it tells you how to administer the Narcan. It's just an amazing tool. Let's see, information for referring individuals to Volusia Recovery Alliance, peer support and recovery were issued to everybody. The only request was that our office be able to contact them for questions and concerns, and the ability to have them reach out for reversal of all overdose notifications. And it goes on. So I guess the point is, I know it was very long, but I want to thank from the bottom of my heart our Ormond Beach Police for being open and collaborative, to Advent Health for their sponsorship, and for Volusia Recovery Alliance and all those organizations working to fight the opioid epidemic. It's really through collaboration that we can get a handle on this, so I'm very appreciative of that. All right, my final comment is, and hopefully this is my final comment, and it's regarding the latest media outreach regarding our mayor being blindsided. And before I start with my written word, I need to say that I absolutely, positively resent being called a Marxist. That's just totally un-American, and I don't appreciate that. I'm extremely disappointed that this continues in the media and that our mayor reached out to the News Journal to continue a dialogue on a topic that takes away from the work of the commission. The mayor already addressed his comments in The Observer. I also think the timing was quite interesting based on the release prior to a commission meeting. Let me be clear. This was never about governing dialogue. I believe in freedom of speech. It's about following protocol and representing our city with accuracy and putting our best face forward. My comments tonight address an issue that is fundamental to our democracy, the importance of speaking on the dais for transparency and the unintended consequences of continuing media scrutiny that shifts the focus away from the real work we're here to do. When we sit on the dais, we're not only speaking to each other, but we're speaking to you all, the people we serve. The dais is where public policy is debated, decisions are made, and the public can witness on how those decisions come to be. We are accountable on the dais. All matters are to be addressed openly and with transparency. Scrutiny is healthy, and the role of the press is important in holding our leaders responsible. But accountability should not come at the expense of effectiveness. If commissioners are forced to spend more time defending the process than advancing the solutions, we lose as a community. I ask my fellow commissioners and mayor to remain committed to speaking openly on the dais and do the work of the commission to serve our residents. I encourage the media to continue its vital role while recognizing when coverage begins to overshadow the progress we are working to achieve. Let's reaffirm our commitment to serving our residents and putting them first, and ensure that we serve with integrity and focus. Good night.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I would like to say thank you to the YMCA. You know, at that dinner, Charlie Leidecker put it very well, where he said the YMCA's business model is horrible. They give away more than they take in. And finally, they are now operating in the black, where they now have the memberships up and are finally making some money. But they give back and they do not turn away anyone for any reason. So if anyone needs a swim lesson or needs after-day care or anything, the YMCA is there for our community. And I appreciate them for coming tonight. I also like to give a shout out to, and I normally don't do this, but my mom was in the ER last night, and as we know, Advent is just, I mean, there was no seats in the waiting room, people in the hallways, and then, thankfully she was in a room. I got home late last night from baseball. It was about 8:30. I didn't want to go back out there, so I called, and I felt very bad calling because you know how busy those nurses are. And the nurse that was on duty, Hannah, was so calm, cool. She wasn't rushed. And it just says a lot for our healthcare workers, I think, in the system, how wonderful they are with our residents. So thank you to Hannah. I don't know her last name, but I know a resident asked about the visual and audio. I believe that's still on track for Q2 of this year.
Yes, we hope to have that by the end of the summer. It's coordinating with a couple of the other upgrades to the chamber, so it has to all come together, but we're hoping during your summer break.
Perfect, thank you. So that's coming online. Said that the piece of property at Wilmette, you know, when I brought this forward, I wasn't asking that the city go out and write a check for $2 million. Obviously, we have to do our due diligence and evaluate the property. And of the 20 acres, I believe, from my talks with people, about 5 of it is developable. Of that 5, you would have to bring in about 6 feet of fill. We know what filling in is going to do. It's going to flood the area. So that's why I brought this environmentally sensitive piece of property forward for consideration. So obviously we're not going to rush out, and do I think it's worth $2 million? No, but I'm also not in that business, so obviously we would have to get our appraisals and do our due diligence as a city before we spent any money. Those are the comments so far, and then I'll go on to my written notes. over the last couple of weeks, I was reflecting on the distractions that have been encountered. We have people, groups that show up and ask us to write letters to support different issues affecting the city, county, from flooding to overbuilding and development. Last meeting, I proposed to the city to look at purchasing an environmentally sensitive piece of property in the center of Ormond Beach. This was overshadowed by the comments at the last commission meeting regarding misinformation that was stated in an interview with Channel 6. I'm not going to rehash what was said. Instead, I would like to read a letter that I put together that I hope will help us all move forward. I titled it Progress in the City of Ormond Beach and Ignoring Distractions. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow residents of Ormond Beach, tonight I would like to celebrate the progress of our beloved city has made and to reflect on the journey that lies ahead. Ormond Beach is a vibrant community, rich in history and brimming in with potential. From our beautiful beaches to our lush parks, we have much to be proud of. However, as we embrace these accomplishments, we must also acknowledge the distractions that can divert us from our path of progress. In recent years, our city has experienced remarkable growth. New businesses are opening their doors, contributing to a thriving local economy. Our infrastructure is being enhanced with road improvements, beautification of projects that not only make our city more accessible, but also more inviting to the residents and visitors alike. We've seen investments in public safety, community services, all aimed at improving the quality of life for everyone in Ormond Beach. However, as we celebrate these achievements, we must remain vigilant. Distractions come in many forms, be it negativity, misinformation, or decisive rhetoric. They can all pull us away from our goals and hinder our ability to collaborate effectively. It is crucial for us as a community to stay focused on what truly matters, the well-being of our residents and sustainability of our environment, and the enhancement of our community spirit. Let us not be swayed by those who seek to diminish our efforts to divide us. Instead, we should harness our collective energy and passion to propel Ormond Beach forward. We must engage in constructive dialogue, listen to one another, and work together towards a common goal. By doing so, we can build a resilient community not only to withstand challenges, but thrives in the faces of them. To ignore distraction does not mean to ignore dissenting opinions or constructive criticism. It means to rise above the noise and focus on solutions. It means to prioritize collaborations over conflict and to foster an environment where everyone's voice is heard and valued. Let us commit to being champions of progress, advocating for unity and cooperation in all of our endeavors. As we stand on the height of the future opportunities, let us remember that the strength of Ormond Beach lies in its peoples. Together we can achieve great things if we remain steadfast in our vision, unwavering in our commitment to one another. Let's continue to work diligently, celebrate our victories, and learn from our setbacks, all while maintaining our focus on the bright future that awaits us. Thank you all for your dedication to our community, for your commitment to making Ormond Beach a better place for all. Together, we can turn our vision into reality and create a legacy of progress that will inspire generations to come. Let's move forward together. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. Commissioner Deaton.
Thank you. Please bear with me. I was ill last week, and combined with my asthma, I just have not kicked the cough yet. Deputy Mayor Lori Tolland, I would like to thank you for spending your weekend dedicating it to these LUN boxes. That's pretty commendable. I appreciate that. Robert Carolyn and Leisure Services, I would like to thank you for helping me address the debris issue at the Nova ball fields. I know this is tough given where the ball fields were built, but being continually attentive to the situation, especially during baseball season, is very helpful. I'm excited to discuss options for Nova Field 1 in the near future. I know that we have all received many emails from the same resident with a number of issues, but specifically regarding the temporary sign ordinances in Ormond Beach and the D.R. Horton stick signs. I had a good conversation with corporate DR Horton regarding our city sign ordinances and the ramifications if they are to continue placing those stick signs all up and down Airport, Granada, and Timber Creek. I personally have not seen one DR Horton stick sign since I made that phone call, and I'm happy to report that resident actually sent me an email last week to thank me, as he had not seen any signs either. Small victories. I'd like to thank city staff for helping me with an FDOT matter. A large truck had spilled insulation and debris all over Granada near Indian Springs, causing hazards on the road and debris in the ditches in the side of the road. Within a few hours, city staff had FDOT out there clearing it up, so thank you for that. I'd like to give a shout out to Ormond PD for continuously being attentive to the ongoing transient issue we are facing in Ormond Beach. I know this is a difficult task given our reactive code enforcement policy, but they have been extremely receptive to my requests. I would personally love to see a proactive code enforcement policy, should budget permit, but that's a conversation for a different day. Joyce, do we have any update on the workshop for the homeless transient issue discussed a couple months ago?
I think we talked about that. I don't know that we've got that scheduled.
Okay. I'd love to see that one get on the calendar if possible. Regarding the Circle K gas station resident comment from last commission meeting, I would like to see if the other commissioners would be in agreement to direct the planning department to research the administrative land development code regarding the allotted feet from gas station to a residential home. I do know that if an amendment is agreed upon, the amendment would only apply to new applications, not this specific Circle K project. But it might be worth having a conversation about for future projects, and I would like to get the opinions of the other commissioners.
I'm always open to listening to new ideas.
I'm up for exploring it.
Same.
Okay. If we could direct staff to handle that, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And lastly, this job is hard. And for most of us on the dais, in addition to our families, this is not our full-time job. Many people often don't get to see the positive things we are doing in the community each day. Instead, you see a headline or a single vote you disagree with, and you run with it. We field complaints via email and phone call daily. We have difficult conversations, and we bear the weight of making decisions that impact an entire community. We are attacked on social media by people who have never sat in this seat, all because we don't always align with every single view or vote. We are accused of things that often aren't true. Our reputations are battered from behind a keyboard, and all because we are quote-unquote politicians. I don't know about the others, but my goal wasn't to be a politician. My goal is to do what is best for Ormond Beach so that my children and the rest of the future generations are left with the same thriving town that I was fortunate enough to grow up in. And despite the noise and negativity, I'm still going to be here, committed to Ormond Beach. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Deaton. Well, I will say that nice surprise tonight, Joyce, with the 100% Club. You were holding that for me, weren't you?
I was.
Yes. For those of you that don't know what that meant, is that the Attorney General's office has a program that allowed businesses, but also cities, to participate in a program where you can kind of understand a little bit more about how to identify anybody that might be human trafficked. And there's all kinds of different forms of human trafficking. And so January was Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And so when I learned about it, I thought that it was a good time to maybe have the city of Ormond Beach participate in it. There was no charge, right? No charge. And I think it was an hour training now that the city employees were able to do. And what the 100% means is that all the employees in the city are all trained and will get a certificate, I believe, for the 100%. So good job. I really appreciate it. The commission here, I'm sure, appreciates it. Yeah, it's a great thing. And human trafficking awareness is something that we should all be mindful of because it does exist. The last meeting we did discuss about raising our threshold on things that don't need to be voted on by the commission, thing of spending. So we're at $25,000. I saw that Deltona actually is going to have something on the agenda where they're going to raise it to 100. So I know we talked about it, but I mean, 100 is a little high. But I think that raising it though would be a really important part of what we do here, because the way it works right now is that if the city needs to spend any money to keep the wheels moving for any projects, if it's over $25,000, it has to come before the commission. And some of these projects could really slow us down a little bit. For example, if a police car goes out for any reason, we have to go through all these motions to get a police car replaced, and that requires the commission meeting and public notice and all that stuff, and us sitting here, and meanwhile, we're down one police car. And public safety is always important to us, because as a commission here, public safety is always priority, right? And even our staff do. So I'd like to see that on the agenda at some point, and
If I might, we're researching what other cities are doing, and we'll bring that survey back to you with some recommendations. I believe we've had the $25,000 since like 30 years. So it doesn't have the same buying power today as it did.
Yeah.
And you all gave us some direction at the last commission, so we are working on that and hope to bring that before the end of May.
Good. Yeah, and like I said, it's important because this helps keep the city moving, and some of these things that are important, like a police car going down or something like that, we need to get one right away and get back moving, because, like I said, public safety is important to us. I did have the privilege to attend the first State of the Schools that they had in New Smyrna Beach. It was actually pretty interesting. We had a lot of kids show up and did all these little talents, and everything from a marching band to a ballerina and all kinds of other fun stuff. So that was a really nice thing that they did. The superintendent has been asked to do this for, I think she said 4 or 5 years, something like that. And so this was the first one, and I thought it was really good. So I think they're going to have another one next year. So keep an eye on that if anybody's interested in knowing about what's going on with the public schools. I also had the privilege to attend the State of the County. That was over at the Ocean Center. A lot of good information about things that went on throughout the year with the county. They talked about everything from the parking situation and the fees that they're going to have, which is not for Volusia County residents. It's only for people outside of Volusia County. But they talked about that, and they talked about some other projects that are in the works, and I thought it was really informative. So if any of you are all interested in want to know about what's going on with the county, I would definitely check that out for next year. And that'll be on the west side this time, because they rotate it every other year from west to east side. It is Bike Week, so I hope everyone's just being mindful and careful of all the bikers out there. I do ride a motorcycle, and I can tell you that I had a couple close calls over the weekend of people almost hitting me. So just be careful out there. Just look twice. There's a lot of people out there, and I think there was some accidents reported. There might have been a couple of lives lost, unfortunately, so we'll pray for them, their families, and everyone affected by that. The Mayor's Fitness Challenge is coming up. I hope that the commission here will participate. I know that Commissioner Sargent has made a challenge already, I think a couple months ago. So we'll see. I'm ready, though. I'm ready.
Can I make a comment? Is it always just based on BMI?
I believe so.
Can we maybe alter that in the future?
4 years ago, it was exercises.
Okay, I mean, just maybe thought for the future, just not BMI.
Yeah, and you know what? We're working on it. We had a nice round table discussing just different things with leisure services and just bouncing some ideas around. So we're going to see how this year goes, but next year I'm hoping that we can do something a little bit more fun like that, like you said, just besides just BMI. And lastly, I didn't really want to get into this too much, and I think I'm just going to close it out and hopefully put this thing to rest for once and for all. But, the last couple of weeks, I had a lot of chance to reflect on some of the things that went on and some of the discussions out there. And I think the lesson learned for the commission, including myself, is that, we just ask some questions. If we have any questions about anything, we have staff always available, 24/7, great staff. And if we have to do it here as a group to ask a question, ask a question. I think we can really kind of get a lot of things resolved that way just by asking questions. And also, we're kind of new working together. I mean, I got to know some of you in the campaign trail and your campaign trail, right? And but we never worked together. And I could tell you that from I played high-level sports when I was younger. I played in a band. And I could tell you that there's a lot of things that I didn't agree with my teammates. They didn't agree with me. Bandmates, same thing. But when we left everything in the locker room or left everything off the stage and we went on stage, we made good music together and we won games together. And I think that we're now kind of getting a little more used to each other and moving forward, I'm confident that we'll all work well together because that's what our constituents wanted. They wanted us to be here and they chose us. And they chose us to do one thing, city business. And I'm ready to do city business. I'm ready to get moving. There's a couple little hiccups that happen here and there, but we all make mistakes. But as I learned from my coaches when I was younger to my mentors later in life, that if you're not trying, you're not making mistakes is okay because that means you're trying. So, and that happens, but I'm out here trying. I know you're all trying, and we're doing the best we can, but we were picked here to do this job, to work together, because city business is very important. The city staff, they spend a lot of time putting these agendas together, and we're very thankful for that. But we are the ones that help drive the machine to keep the wheels moving, too, by working together as a group. So I'm ready to work together with you all and get some things done, leave the stuff that we feel about each other outside the door. We come in here, we do city business, act professional, act courteous to each other, and as we're working together and we're, fixing things or addressing things or doing whatever we're doing, I think we can kind of work all the other wrinkles out while we're moving along. So I'm confident we can do that. I appreciate all the comments from everyone. I appreciate the comments from the commission. But like I said, I'm ready to put this thing to rest. I think you're all ready to put this thing to rest, and let's just move forward and push ahead and make Ormond Beach a great place. Other than that, meeting adjourned. Thank you.